I choose not to make a graveyard of my body for the rotting corpses of dead animals. This line was said by a man who was born 172 years ago in Ireland. And in Ireland then, ahimsa, vegetarianism or any of our big, nice, lovely cultures did not exist. But yet this man saw the animal cruelty and chose to quit it. And here, most of us Indians born in this grand land of ahimsa, where we follow Sanatan Darshans, here we are still looking out for excuses so that we may continue consuming animal products because we love the taste of it and we enjoy doing it. Let's meet Mr. George Bernard Shaw, who had said something like, I would rather die than eat animal. My situation is a solemn one. Life is offered to me on condition of eating beef steaks, but death is better than cannibalism. Once when Mr. Shaw was 68 years old, he was asked, how come you look so youthful? Mr. Shaw replied, I am looking my age. I am my age. It is the others who are looking older. What else do you expect from people who eat corpses and drink spirits? Mr. Shaw was also a very achieved person. He was one of the only one who had received a Nobel Prize in 1925 and an Academy Award in 1938, both for literature. The animal cruelty that exists today in 1880, it must have been just 5% of what it is today. That's because at that time, the human population was only 140 crores and today we are around 800 crores, which is 1.4 billion then and 8 billion today. And even our technology didn't exist then so that we could do mass exploitation and cruelty. But Mr. Shaw even then saw the animal cruelty, and that's why at the age of 25, he quit all animal products and became a vegetarian till the day he died. Animals are my friend and I don't eat friends. That's what Mr. Shaw said. He was against any and all animal cruelty. He was against any kind of animal exploitation, be it for medical purposes or be it for any cruel sports. Vivisection is a social evil because if it advances human knowledge, it does so at the expense of human character. Atrocities are not less atrocities when they occur in laboratories and are called medical research. When a man wants to murder a tiger, he calls it sports. When the tiger wants to murder him, he calls it ferocity. On being asked, why are you a vegetarian? He would say, oh come, that boot is on the other leg. Why should you ask me to account for eating decently? If I batted on Scotch corpses of animals, you might well ask me why I did that. In fact, Mr. Shaw would say, a man of my spiritual intensity does not eat corpses. After Mr. Shaw got the Nobel Prize in 1925, he became very famous. And people would invite him for dinner hosted in his honor. But Mr. Shaw would respond, a dinner? How horrible! I am to be made the pretext for killing all those wretched animals and birds and fish? Thank you for nothing. Now, if it were to be a fast instead of a feast, say a solemn 3 days abstinence from corpses in my name, I would at least pretend to believe that it was disinterested. Blood sacrifices are not in my line. In a letter which Mr. George Bernard Shaw wrote to Mrs. Patrick Campbell, we find this line. I was told that my diet was so poor that I could not repair the bones that were broken and operated on. So I have just had an X-radiograph taken and lo, perfectly mended solid bones so beautifully white that I have left instructions that if I die, a glove stretcher is to be made of me and sent to you as a souvenir. In one of his writings, Mr. Shaw had written, if a man seeks permission from a society to torture his mother in the pursuit of knowledge, will society grant it? No, society will not grant it. If he says, but I may find a cure to cancer, still society will refuse him. If the scientist says, oh, let me at least torture the dog, society will revert back saying, but dog is man's good friend. And even if society does give the scientist the permission, they will say, you may torture the other dogs, but not my own. Even the stupidest person knows that if knowledge is to be attained at the cost of torturing your mother, then we do not need that knowledge. The same way a wise person would say, if we attain knowledge at the cost of torturing innocent animals, don't need that knowledge. I would rather swear 50 lies than take an animal which had licked my hand in good fellowship and torture it. If I did torture the dog, I should certainly not have the face to turn around and ask how many people dare suspect an honorable man like myself of telling lies. Somewhere Mr. Shaw had written that we are in fact a cruel nation because of a habit of disguising are vices behind polite names for the offenses that we commit. We keep committing, we want to commit so that we can stay in our pleasure and comfort. I would like to close with Mr. Shaw's quote, which is my favorite. The worst sin towards our fellow creatures is not to hate them, but to be indifferent to them. That's the essence of inhumanity.